and a million black men. And the generation that I come from, the civil rights generation, growing up in the 60s and the 70s, come on now, come on board. Let's do this. Let's do this. If this culture exists, what are its components? We're talking about a culture, the culture of poverty option. If this culture exists, what are its components? Ryan's remarks offer one view. It involves men not working and just generations of men not even thinking about working or learning the value of the culture of work. And so there is a real cultural problem here that has to be dealt with. Or, put more crassly, parents who have been out of work take refuge in the welfare state, living on food stamps and government services. And their children learn that this is a viable means of survival. Just living, if you're in that state of existence, it's cool. It's not cool, but it has devastating implications. Who doesn't want to be able to just, have somebody else take care of him and chilling and stuff, and all you got to do is just get blunted all day and smoke and not really do anything. But it has long-term societal implications. You can take care of your business, handle your business, and still, in moderation, you have a good time. See? Last November, the National Bureau of Economic Research published a study suggesting that the children of people who receive government benefits are more likely themselves to receive such benefits. When a parent is allowed benefits, their adult child's participation over the next 5 years increases by 6 percentage points, its summary reads. This effect grows over time, rising to 12 percentage points after 10 years. Right? I was in school, because I do substitute teaching because I needed to, have my own case study. What's going on with these children here? And our children aren't being prepared to study. You got a handful of students, most of them have both parents at home. But I had one child, him and his mother were homeless. They were living in a car, but he was in the top of his class. See? And had one young lady, she said, what's going on with you? Say you don't care about your studies, you don't care about education. I don't care about the school. I'm gonna be like my mother. She on welfare. She doing just fine. And I'm gonna get on welfare too. I'm like, whoa. So you got different thought process. Everybody's thought process is different. Just like when when my kids was growing up, I remember trying to teach them something, tell them something, about a particular situation. And then later on, when they became adults and I talked to them, they interpreted completely different than what I intended. You know what I mean? So, but I had to still have my guiding hand of parenthood on them. So things went, like it's supposed to. But everybody interprets stuff differently. Just like these lectures and stuff. Somebody's going to, some people interpret it differently. Or get an attitude for no reason. All we need to do is because studying and reading, it takes you to a different level. It opens up your mind. The brain is a muscle. And if you don't exercise it, if you can't read a book for more than 30 minutes without going to sleep, your brain is weak. See? But it depends. Get some sleep, get some rest, and do some study and get it in there so you can just gradually build up on that. But you got to be able to read. You got to be able to study, because we in a society where the answer is in the books. The answer is in the book. They a lot of people, you just read what somebody else wrote. You not have your own original thoughts and stuff. Listen, our society is built upon what other people have done. So that's just the way it is. And then eventually you will get your own thought process. But first of all, you have to be taught how to thought and reason and so forth. Then eventually your brain will kick in. I remember when these years of studying and stuff, and I prayed to God, Lord, When you going to give me my own thought process? When you going to give me wisdom? Boom. And that's when I wrote my book that this course is built upon. See? But you got to play your part. Well, why you got to read that information? They just going to change it anyway. Come on, man. But the system is built upon what they wrote in the text. That's how the society is built. The laws and stuff. Of course they try to change the laws. You know, when OJ did what he did and stuff, all of a sudden the laws were rewritten. But at least you got a foundation to which to build on. Listen to a guy podcast the other day say, man, you know, what's going to happen when all the smart people die? You know what I'm saying? We don't know how to make no phones. We don't know how to build no TV. We don't know how to do nothing, you know. Anyway, the study conducted by looking at Norwegian, not American, benefits usage found a relationship. But the noticeable uptick in the likelihood of children signing up for benefit programs was to the effect of being 1 in 16 or 1 in 8 more likely to do so. That's hardly a suggestion there is necessarily or even probably a transfer of the inclination to avoid work over generations. Everybody needs help. Everybody needs help. But if you make it a habit of people of not helping yourself and relying on somebody else to help you, then there's a problem. That's where the problem lies. There simply isn't a strong argument to be made that identifies attributes of enduring poverty from attributes common to the black community. In fact, in his most recent response, Coates argues, response to chat, Coates argues that his opponent confuses the first and second options, conflating black culture with the culture of poverty. Here is what Tate wrote in the closest approximation of a definition of that culture and citing a paper linked in the essay by Jamel Bowie. The paper surveys some of the best research evidence of the detrimental cultural outgrowths of concentrated urban poverty on parental expectations, sexual behavior, the willingness of students to engage in beneficial activities and other things. Culture is hard, though not impossible, to quantify, which does not mean it doesn't exist. Cole's point in part is that Tate is pointing to things that are primarily specific to communities of color as being representative of the culture of poverty at large. Same thing Cosby did, right? But further, that blurring that line tends to happen more when the roots of poverty being identified are more rampant in the black community. This elision is not particular to Tate. In the 1960s, when 20% of black children were found to be born out of wedlock, progressives went to war over the tangle of pathologies choking black America. Today, 30% of white children are being born out of wedlock. The reaction to this shift has been considerably more muted. This makes sense if you believe that pathology is something reserved for black people. Same thing with the drug epidemic. You know what I'm saying? When it's crack keep affecting the black community, even though it was the same as, but they, used that to bash black people. But then when it was a white America being devastated, then all of a sudden they need to go to treatment, not go to jail. See? So we understand that we're being treated differently. And we have to be tough-skinned. We have to make sure that we don't fall into these traps. See? And just like this pandemic, if it was affecting us more, there wouldn't be no vaccines, right? So we already know. So the bottom line is that let's we have to clean up our own house. The black culture option. Perhaps another assumption is in order. Let's assume instead that the black culture option is the correct explanation, that pathology actually is something reserved for black people. But again, what are the components of that culture? Paul Ryan got into trouble because he implied that the problem was, in short, laziness. Coates frames it loosely in similar terms. Black people are less responsible, less moral, or less upstanding, which Tate quickly steps away from, preferring the Ghazi expression, cultural norms that inhibited economic success. The paper cited by Tate indicates a number of very specific behaviorisms and attitudes, some of which he notes, but it also downplays the idea of culture as an organizing force. The clean overlap was long-standing anti-black stereotypes embodied in the Ryan argument and in Coates' formulation is the problem. And what got Ryan in trouble, and is why from the outset the black culture formulation should be considered suspect. They always blaming us for everything. That's part of their, we need to stop being crybabies about it. Just like blackface. I'm like, man, if you want to paint your face black, that's up to you, man. I ain't tripping with you. You know what I'm saying? What make you go through all that to put all that black on your face? You want to be me. I ain't trying. Oh, they had a watermelon that they had red lips on or whatever made it. I'm like, I don't care about that. Just get out of my way. Sticks and stones may hurt your bones, but don't put your hands on me. See, we cry babies. We're too soft. We need to get mean. We need to get angry inside enough to make us want to become economically viable as a people coming together. Instead of running away from each other, not speaking to each other, being mad at each other, when we getting kicked in the butt continuously. Go to a job that, back in the day, you send your resume in, they see your name, Shaliqua, Taniqua, whatever, they throw it in the trash. I remember my first job in the finances, I was the only black person there. When they saw my name, Claud Sinclair, they didn't know, they thought I was French, a white guy. And when I got there, I saw his, But my resume was so impressive, I was already there. And plus he interviewed me in the lobby, apologized, hey man, I can't take you up there because if I took you up to the floor before I hired you, then I would have, all hell would break loose. I'm like, ain't that something? And then when he brought me up there, and it was a problem at first until they realized this guy's competent. See? So you need to be, and thank God my mother didn't, name me that. So now I had opportunities to get through the door. I was the first black in finance up in there, in my department. Okay. In his most recent post, Coates makes an exhaustive argument demonstrating the lengthy history of racist policies and programs that existed to help white Americans at the expense of black Americans. I mean, that sentence right there, there's so much in that of racism and oppression and what they did, giving white folks loans, wouldn't give black people loans, redlining our communities, you know what I'm saying? Giving us illegal interest rates to buy homes, not letting us move in certain communities. It's a whole bunch of stuff. Taking land, from black people. Taking land, and some stuff's going up in there right now in in New York and stuff, and where they moving black people out of the communities and stuff like that. Just having money isn't enough. You gotta know the law. You gotta be organized. And even in Los Angeles, with the trying to buy the mall area there. All of a sudden, somebody else trying to buy it, and they jump up with an organization trying to buy it. We should have our own development companies that are financed with cash money that we can put down. Our bank shouldn't go broke because somebody being crooked and stealing the money and not knowing how to operate it properly so it don't go out of business. See? But you have to remember that they do it to each other all the time. And this country is a criminal enterprise. We talk about other countries, Afghanistan and all that kind of stuff. This is a criminal enterprise. Because whenever they have a program that's successful and black people and minority people are getting the benefit of it, they're going to shut it down. Then they're going to put these white bureaucrats in there to make sure that they siphon the money off. And these liberals are the worst. All they trying to do is get paid off your back. They ain't interested in your success or well-being. And all these programs and stuff like that, they don't care about you. They care about your misery. They get paid off your misery. You should quit playing the game. These pimping preachers up in there, they getting paid off your misery and your foolishness. Foolishness. Because you're not thinking. You don't have the ability to think properly. In his most recent post, Coates makes an exhaustive argument demonstrating the lengthy history of racist policies and programs that existed to help white Americans at the expense of black Americans. Tate expressed the evolutionary repeal of programs explicitly targeting blacks as progress.